Hello everyone, I'm Jack Fisher and welcome to my world. And like so many others, that world is shaped by technology. The mere fact I can make this video and share it with the world is a testament to that technology, and it's safe to say we do live in a truly remarkable period in history. You need only look back in your own lifetime to see just how much technology has advanced. I'm still old enough to remember dial-up internet. I'm also old enough to remember pagers. I don't care how nostalgic you are, the idea of going back to that is not appealing. And it's bound to continue changing. Technology moves at a pace that's hard to keep up with. It's not just about fancier smartphones or sharper TVs either. Some advances promise to change our world in ways we can't possibly imagine. Of all the technologies that promise immense change, artificial intelligence may very well be the most impactful. In fact, you could argue it's the one technology that will accelerate every other technology we can think of. Power generation, medicine, manufacturing, materials, space travel, you name it, artificial intelligence, or AI as it's commonly known, it could affect them all. That's not hyperbole. That's not blind speculation either. What makes AI so powerful goes beyond its ability to mimic human intelligence. I'm not just talking about an intelligence that can beat you at chess either. A truly human-level AI, or artificial general intelligence as it's called, could effectively take any mental task we humans could contemplate and supplement it with computer-like efficiency. It could approach serious problems the same way calculators approach advanced math, operating at a level biology just can't match. That's the basic, big-picture view of AI. But like any emerging technology, it's subject to all sorts of misguided assumptions. For the public, their concept of AI is primarily shaped by movies, TV, and video games. It's either this catalyst for a dystopian future or some magical tool that helps move the plot along. Like flying cars and jetpacks, it's a gross simplification of something far more complex. Now, I'm certainly no expert. This is a topic of interest for me and one I continue to follow, but even gifted academics who are deeply entrenched in this field have contrasting views on AI, and many of those views are at odds with one another. They operate on this broad spectrum, with one side being overly speculative and the other being overly dismissive. On one extreme end, you've got futurism enthusiasts like Ray Kurzweil. They see AI as this ultimate quantum leap in technology, one that will enable technological progress that will seem like magic, if not godlike. On the other extreme end, you've got big-time skeptics like Herbert Dreyfus and Steven Pinker, who argue that AI's impact will be extremely limited. Some even go so far as to say that human-level AI is not possible, or, at the very least, not achievable in our lifetime. Like cold fusion or perpetual motion machines, it's little more than a techno-fantasy trip. Both extremes have flaws. As such, both extremes are likely wrong in their assumptions, but only in part. The truth, as is often the case, probably lies somewhere in the vast middle. Where in that middle it is not yet clear. Personally, I think human-level AI will be achieved at some point, possibly within my lifetime. The progress I've seen with virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa, which I understand are far from true AIs, has convinced me of that. As for the larger impact, that's where it gets tricky. See, I don't buy into this notion that AI will solve all our problems. It'll definitely help us, there's no doubt about that. In terms of tools, it might very well be the most useful tool we've ever created. If it can think, contemplate, and function at our cognitive level, then that means it can supplement any effort that requires some form of mental cognition, which is pretty much everything when you get right down to it. Technical challenges that usually take years to overcome can be done in a fraction of a time. Accurate modeling and simulations that take years, if not decades, to understand can be done in seconds. Yes, there will still be limits. Even superintelligent AI has to obey the laws of physics, which is tricky given that we don't entirely understand all of physics just yet. But it will change our world, both in terms of how we live and what sorts of fancy tech we wield. Some of the things we think are impossible are just engineering challenges. Technology like nuclear fusion, advanced medicine, and efficient space travel need not be decades off. A suitably advanced AI, or most likely a collection of them, can work out all those issues for us. All we have to do is help with the logistics. As a general rule, if it doesn't violate the laws of physics or require more matter than there is in the universe, then it's still technically possible. That kind of capability could take our civilization and our species to new heights. Everything from better smartphones to enhancing our biology suddenly becomes feasible. The extent of what we can do with it is still not clear, but the potential is far greater. You need only look at how much better basic research and development got after computers entered the picture. Even without artificial intelligence, the simple ability to crunch numbers and run simulations has helped humanity build, learn, and develop at unprecedented rates. Add an advanced AI to the mix, and that process improves even more. We could, in theory, run a decade's worth of research for new cancer drugs within days. That kind of benefit would be incalculable, and I say that as someone who's lost family members to cancer. The possibilities are vast. We literally cannot imagine the sort of advances that we could achieve with an artificial intelligence, although it probably could. Then there's the issue of how we control it. This is usually where the conversation about artificial intelligence goes beyond the technical issues and enters a more dystopian perspective. There's a real and not unreasonable fear that once we create an advanced AI, even if it's only as smart as the average human, we won't be able to control it. And if it decides that aiding us isn't in its best interests, it'll either ignore us entirely or go full Skynet and attack us. Again, that's an extreme either-or scenario, one where the truth probably lies somewhere in the vast middle. This problem, often called the control problem in AI circles, isn't just an engineering challenge. We humans have limited experience in terms of dealing with other intelligent beings, namely our own. Even when we deal with other intelligent animals, like chimps and dolphins, we have a difficult time relating to one another. That says nothing about the way we actually treat one another. There's also the matter of what happens to individuals with a large intelligence gap. In general, the one with the most intelligence tends to have the advantage, and, more often than not, the means to exploit. This is where much of the fear surrounding advanced AI comes from, and I won't say it's completely unfounded, but I do think it's overblown. This is where I hope to add a little balance to this issue, one I hope that both enthusiasts and skeptics alike can appreciate. Ultimately, the best way to both control and prosper with artificial intelligence is to align its motivations and ideals with our own. Now, I know that's easier said than done. People far smarter than me have noted that. See Nick Bostrom's book, Superintelligence, for a more thorough explanation of that challenge. But pragmatically speaking, this is our best bet for making sure we all benefit from AI, or at the very least, avoid a Skynet scenario. Now, there are many ways to go about it. Motivation is not the same as basic programming. See the paperclip maximizer thought experiment for some insight into that, which, coincidentally, also came from Nick Bostrom. You see, motivation is less about goals and more about vision. To get from point A to point B is a goal, plain and simple. People and computers alike can do this through planning, trial, and error. But to surmise a process from getting from point A to point B for your friends, your family, and the whole of humanity, that takes a larger vision. And it has to be a shared vision too. Whatever AI we create, it has to emulate our most basic ideals, both for us as humans and for us as biological creatures. Just making everyone happy isn't enough. An AI could calculate that doing so just means pumping happy chemicals into our brains, but doing so would also conflict with ideals of personal agency and autonomy. Similarly, an AI could calculate that the best way to eliminate human suffering is to lobotomize every human so that they can't even conceive of the concept. But again, doing so means going against those same ideals. Every evil robot or AI in movies, from Ultron to HAL to Skynet, they lack those ideals. They lack that perspective. Having those ideals, as well as the motivation to uphold them, is the best and possibly only way for an advanced AI to actually help humanity in the grand scheme of things. Again, it's difficult to speculate how we'd actually do this. Programming only goes so far. However, efforts by the likes of Elon Musk to link our brains with the computers might end up being the most important tool. Back in 2017, Musk announced the formation of Neurolink, a company with the goal of developing commercial brain-machine interfaces. The idea is to implant chips into our brains that we can then use to directly interact with a computer. It may sound invasive, but the potential of this technology is vast enough to warrant a future video. But its most important feature might involve directly sharing our thoughts, feelings, and perspectives with an emerging AI. Now that kind of exchange is going to be risky. There's no way around it. I don't deny there's a chance that an AI linking to a human brain could ultimately break both. There's even a chance it could go horribly wrong and result in an AI inheriting humanity's worst ideals. At that point, we'd have a big problem. That's all the more reason to refine this technology alongside advanced AI. Now at the moment, we don't have an artificial intelligence that can function at the same level as an average human. But we do have some rudimentary brain implants that can interface with computers. It's not some fancy, far-off Matrix-level technology. These implants do exist, their function is just very limited right now. It's just a matter of refining the technology, not unlike the way we refine smartphones. It's also worth noting that Elon Musk himself has expressed concerns about advanced AI. The fact that he's investing his considerable resources into tools like Neurolink shows that his concern is real. You don't spend millions on an endeavor like that if you don't take it seriously. Now, will those efforts be enough to keep a future AI's motivation in harmony with ours? That we don't know. And we won't know until the day an AI is smart enough to ask us what its purpose is. Whether it's developing new technologies or passing butter, Rick and Morty style, we should be ready to give it a valid answer. As both Musk and Bostrom note, we may not have the luxury of screwing this up the first time around. If we're to use this technology effectively, we must make sure we share the same motivations, ideals, and visions. The risks are great, but the rewards are infinitely greater. And personally, I hope I live long enough to see those rewards. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on artificial intelligence? What impact do you think it will have? How do we go about controlling it? How do we relate to it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, everyone, and thanks for joining me in my world. If you like this topic and would like to see more, please let me know. Also, please like and subscribe. To everyone out there, as well as our future robot overlords, take care and stay safe, everyone.